Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I welcome all of you to this channel. I'm UATN and channel is the Chuck the CSS. Consistency is key to unlock it. Today we will discuss that how book reading is important in CSS and PMS and how we can quote references from these books that we have read through this journey. Several kinds of questions raised in the aspirants that how can we quote these books, how these books are important when we read lot of stuff, how to mention these references and how to put down these reading stuff into the writing. So today we will discuss our view of a book that which is a very important for the post independence and several incidents covered in this books, a very comprehensive book, especially for the aspirants who want cover all the incidents, all the aspects of states, economy, security, and well as religious as well as historical perspectives. So comprehensively he covered these aspects in these books. I have read this book recently, Pakistan Beyond Crisis State by Maleeha Lodhi. So here I will give you the complete review of the book and also will tell you the technique that how we can code the books. Uh, when you have a summary of the book, you can also have got the central idea of the book, so you can also mention certain points relevant to the topic as a reference with that book, that you have a summary, you have central ideas, you can relate it in the paper by mentioning the book name as well as author name. So it's important and very I can say smart technique to ensure your capability in the paper. So first of all, I would like to start, this is a book that I have read recently and very helpful. Everybody have read these books, but recently I gave a revision as well as review of this book. So quite interesting factor. I would like to discuss this book and trickle down this book into content, that the how the writer have arranged all the different articles in these books. The first of all, you can see easily that the past as present by Aisha Jalal, very renowned historian, everybody is well aware of her name. And second, why Jinnah Matter by Akbar Ahmad, when why Pakistan will survive beyond crisis state, army and politics, Praetorian and people, ideological drift, battling militancy, retooling institutions. All the authors are well known. They are a critic as well as have written different types of articles in the daily newspapers also, and very thought-provoking ideas of these writers, especially for the aspirants. So I would like to discuss and start to review this book. So without any delay, I have picked certain important articles from this book in detail as a summary, so to give overview of this book. So it will be very interesting and very helpful for the aspirants, so keep in touch and keep reviewing this video. So first of all, I would like to say that the first article that I would like to pick, the first written by Aisha Jalal, the past as present, it's a very comprehensive summary of this book, that Pakistan as a state suffering from paranoid at the backdrop of ideological fissures and historical jumble of glitches. The Indian bugbear turned the nation into security state, while the real threat lies inside. Moreover, Islamic idea shift after debacle of Bengal skewed public future endeavors. Moreover, dysfunctional education system based on myth and fear hegemony of the India stunted the intellectual traditions. So I can easily explain all these points, that he basically renamed Pakistan as a paranoid because paranoid is basically disease, you can say mental disease, where everybody have a sight of thought in mind that all other words is conspiring against him, that everybody is against him and he is suffering from the conspiracies of others. So such type of disease called paranoid. He named Pakistan paranoid just because that every types of our own weaknesses and every types of our own you can say weak points, we blame others. So backdrop of ideological fissures. Here described the ideology of Pakistan, the struggle of Pakistan in ideological sphere, that either this country was Islamic country preceded by Qaid, or a secular country. We are not still clear about it. Two different groups have different ideas on it. Historical gumble of glitches. Certain types of glitches are quite apparent, that the lies of the you can easily understand by the murder of history by KKZ, is where he very clearly explained that how the history has been distorted in the form of textbooks in Pakistan as well as in India, and a certain you can say safeguards also behind, but we should read the clear history, that because it will help us to move forward. I can pinpoint certain points, that the independence of subcontinent, as well as Qaid perception, as well as Pakistan creation. Lot of lies has been written in our books. So here he pinpoint those gamble of glitches. Indian bugbear, that from the day of inception we have a lot of fear from the borders, that and lot of money invested on this in defense. So either it's important or not important, also discussed in the detail. Mainly it is a bug beer, not because we have suffering different type of crisis inside the state rather than the borders are Indian fear. And secondly, the nation into security state, and the real threat lies inside. He discussed that the real threat lies inside. I have already discussed that economic political instability, economic crisis, as well as current we can everybody experience that multiple cultural as well as problems lies inside bureaucracy, bureaucracy, oligarchy with army, as well as feudalism, political instability, polarization. So all the threats are lies inside, and but we just blame on our secure Indians as well as American conspiracy. Moreover, Islamic shift after debacle of Bengal skewed public future endeavors. It basically ideological change happened after the debacle of Bengal, when the Zia era came and Islamization of Pakistan took place. Moreover, dysfunctional education system. It's also from the day one we have divided educational system on three different education system with three different approaches are implementing in Pakistan. Myth and fear of hegemony of Indians stunted the intellectual, and said again he repeated the already point that the hegemony of the Indian fear basically stunted our intellectual traditions, because Qaid was very clear about the relation with India, that we will grow as a co-partner, as well as the independence and all the incidents take a normal position. We will move as a brothers, because we have a very mutual and joint history together. So and always it's very important that everybody is should be clear that the prosperity of the region lies between the brotherhood of two countries. We should admit that both are independent states, and both can easily eradicate their internal issues like poverty by mutual and joint combination. And this is the article written by the past as present by Asha Jalal. And secondly, Pakistan Bias Courses State, written by Maleeha Lodhi. The very short summary of it, but Pakistan living at the crossroad, crumbling economy, polarized politics has certain responsible factor behind its decline. Civil military tussle and the lust of power, feudalism, and missed opportunity of land reforms, and later ill attempts by socialist Zia's impulsive views of Islam. All these events seriously burden of history that deep and intricate relationship with the present. So he again discussed that why this country is beyond this crisis. He basically discussed all the inside deals, polarized politics, crumbling economy, as well as civil military tussles and lust of power, and the feudalism which was legalized after the inspection, and no land forms were conducted, and later on certain socialist attempts by the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in the form of nationalization and Zia Islamization. Basically all these incidents have a very great very deep history of Pakistan that are still a burden. You can say he called it a burden of the history that have deep roots in the present era. That the current different ideological misconceptions, different type of economical lackings, as well as political and political instability have deep have deep insight regarding these historical points. So basically he discussed these political as well as our historical jumble of glitches in very detail, that how these countries suffering from this paranoid. And he also suggested an alternative paradigm where he discusses different solutions, like how we can sort out and how can Pakistan move further. We have certain ways in front of us, and he discussed mainly five futures points that Pakistan can grow as a theocratic state, which is quietly a disaster. And second one is Pakistan military-led feudal clan state, so which is also happened in the past, and Pakistan suffered through it. And third is the technocrat state led by the military, where we have specialists on in every department. So we also have experienced it, but it also left very serious implications on the national fabric. And the fourth one is the issue-based politics, which is recently erupted in the surface in the form of different political parties, like and three parties, where we are discussing certain issues and doing the politics on these. So which is the best adopted approach by the Pakistani, and erupting and mainstreaming of the middle class on the surface, where he has his voice in the form of media and discussing the issues. This is the best and best future of the Pakistan that he predicted through this book. And later on, why Jinnah Matters by Dr. Akbar Ahmed, he basically described the Qaid visions on certain points regarding constitution, Indo-Pak relationship, minority, and cleared the people of the Pakistan of today that how Qaid was quite progressive in his thoughts, rather than people perceive today. So after that, we have discussed the cross sword Pakistan, its enemy and war within by Shuja Nawaz. I have written basically a page on this. Hopefully everyone, it's hard to read, but I can easily read. If anybody wants its availability, I can also WhatsApp or email clear images. Pakistan, a country with its weak political structure and active army, is a prisoner of geography and history. Foundation of army is secular in nature, but grew up as Islamic entity. Aloofness of aloofness of the arms leader from the political wranglings at the inception turned into political control of state. Corrupt political feudals and suborned bureaucracy provided room to army to substantiate themselves in political arena. It paved the path of the petro-client relationship, and later on several coups by military cut the roots of civil supremacy successfully. Army emerged as a corporate sector that seriously drained the economy on the basis of nationalism, and referenced the support of the people by a controlled media. In short, unnecessarily role of the intelligence agencies, incumbent of the armed officers into civil sectors, and economical drain of state, leading to the nation toward the brink of disaster in modern world. Growth of Pakistan as a pluralistic state with civil supremacy is the only solution. Here he discussed the role of the military in the Pakistan politics and how this military grew up, which was at the start was quite secular in nature, and later on an Islamic entity appeared on the surface with the name of Islamic slogans. After that, he also was discussed that these peoples are basically from middle class, and they later on they taken the hold of the whole country by making army as a corporate sector, as well as incumbent of the army officers in civil services. In Musharraf era, almost 1200 army officers, retired army officers, were appointed as a civil sector heads, so which was a serious blow to the civil departments by making army as a supreme department. So these type of factors he discussed, basically the feudal clans, and we blamed feudal clans as well as our spawn bureaucracy, and that provided the room, as well as political incompetency that provided to the military leadership to invade into the every arena of the state and taken control of them. And later on, retooling by Ishrat Hussain. Main idea of this book predominantly related to the detailed and comprehensive study of the governance loopholes, conundrums, and its aftershocks on the public. Alternative paradigm was also discussed in a holistic manner to overcome this burden. Its overall critical debate on key institutions, their framework, working dynamics, and impacts on the mainstream public. A problem-solving approach was also adopted to mitigate as well as obliterate all impediments on the way of the good governance. Here he discussed the governance issue in detail in this article, where he discussed that how the policy making affect our governance, how we can reform, introduce different reforms in different sectors. The issues with the institutions, several institutions that are burden on the states like PIA, as well as railway, steel mill, and several other corporate sector that have become a burden on the state. So he discussed in detail and also provided that how we can get rid of this economic conundrums, and we can revive our nation as a economical superiority. So these are basically different points he discussed in these articles, mainly related to the institutional reforms. And the next is the Praetorian and the Public by Said Shafkat. Here he discussed that lifestyle of different elite people in the army, judiciary, as well as military, and politics, and the common people. He basically insists on a single point that all the military elite as well as bureaucracy elite are nowadays mainstream mainly from the middle class, upper middle class as well as lower middle class, but they have authoritarian tendencies. So they try to show their authority as well as to comprehend all, as well as to occupy all the resources. Also they are competent, but their intentions are not in a right direction in the political as well as social arena. So he discussed that political elites from the day one is the elite class of our society, which is which are industrialists, feudals, and several others. But our bureaucracy is from the start was also from upper class, but later on nowadays it is from the lower middle class, while military elite from the day one is from the lower middle class or middle class. So he basically described the evolution of these elites and their current status, while the public also present in Pakistan said how these people are different from the common public. So I discussed different articles here. So now I would like to come to the point that how we can quote these references. Let's suppose we have a question in the paper regarding the regarding, you can say, a national integration. Recently essay in the PMS paper of ministerial quota, this integration. I can take a very give a very easy reference of this book in this essay by quoting Maleeha Lodhi article also, that he discussed that why integration is weak. Certain factors are responsible. I can discuss only single point. I think that the polarization of politics, because too much polarization is a threat to democracies as well in current arena. So he also discussed polarization detail. So I can quote the polarization with appropriate sentence as well as a comprehensive statement. So, and quote at the end, I can easily write that this is recorded from the book State Beyond Crisis, Pakistan Beyond Crisis State by Maleeha Lodhi. So he can easily get the idea of this reference. So later on I can also discuss several other points. The policy making, you can quote Ishrat Hussain, institutional retooling, if you have any relation with the So history as well as guide visions, you can discuss Akbar Ahmed, Dr. Akbar Ahmed Saab, why Jinnah matters, because here he discussed different views of Qaid on different perspectives. So when you have clear idea about any perspective that in this article or in this book, the central idea of the book is relevant to that, and the author takes such stance, so you can also it's not a matter you know and cram exact sentence of that book and then quote in the paper. So it's very difficult and impossible. I personally feel that nobody can do that. They basically took the central idea in mind, and when they are writing on the papers and they have a backdrop in the mind that it can be relevant to that article or that books, so then easily you can know relate with that context and write as a reference. So basically when I discuss different articles and try to give a point of view that when you have any perspective understanding, every central idea and understanding of any book, you can easily relate with your topic. Whatever the topic, you can easily relate that topic with certain books that have clear relevancy with that perspective. So not exact lines, not exact wordings you can quote, you can with a little change, but the central and core idea should be remain the same. You can easily mention as a reference. So in this video I discussed and hopefully the central idea of this book, her core idea, should be easily on the surface of, and people can easily understand how they can quote these books and read the books thoroughly. So these books are very important, especially when the paper examiners is well versed in their field and they have quite adequate knowledge and significant knowledge about their subject. When you quote different books, so he can easily understand that you have a quite better understandings relevant to the question, because you have read certain books. So overall, because it's very hard fact that the examiner do not pay a very deep attention to the paper by reading every line, and he just read the main headings as well as the top points of the questions, and he can easily get the make idea in his mind that how the efficient of this aspirant is. So quoting of these references is very important in the paper. So hopefully you can understand by this video. Best of luck. Check the CSS, no fear. So if you are here, keep moving forward. God bless you. Thank you very much.